Okay, there is a misunderstanding here somewhere. And I think that what's happening is that the other person is not really understanding what you're trying to tell them. And I also feel like it's about needing some more information or some answers to questions that you may have in regards to a situation where you may have felt like you were hurt or let down or even backstabbed or betrayed here with the Five of Swords. But a lot of times this is going to be about, with this deck for me looking at this, somebody who may have taken something the wrong way. And it's definitely showing with the contrast between the two pages here. But let's start from the beginning, the Fool. You showing the Fool is like you taking a risk here or a leap of faith when it comes to somebody, especially if they're coming in with the truth and nothing but the truth. I think that they're communicating something to you that leads you to, a belief that this is worth working on. Now, what I don't like is where the Page of Swords is coming in on your side. Now, that Knight of Swords, though, I don't feel like is a bad thing on their part. I think that they're finally taking action toward this relationship with you, but also being upfront and honest about some things. I don't necessarily feel like it's them being overly blunt or overly harsh, but they may be really brutally honest with you about some things involving the past. But I feel like with that kind of understanding, it may make it easier for you to take a risk with them or to take that leap of faith, right? Now, with the Three of Pentacles, like I was saying, it's something about what they're communicating to you that leads you to believe that this is something worth working toward. How do we make this relationship work? You are definitely willing to put in the effort or, help them to kind of get on the path here that they are communicating to you, which is going to have to do with commitment with the Hierophant. And it's interesting how, it's showing up here on another person's side. I've been seeing this one a lot this week, a lot. Commitment seems to be a big thing with people right now when getting involved with another person, especially with a person where there's been history. And for you, it may have to do with misunderstandings and needing some more clarity, which I don't know. I find interesting here because the Knight of Swords would suggest that they're coming to you with the absolute truth. But the Page of Swords for you, I don't feel like it's about you communicating something that is a half-truth to them. I think it's that you're needing some answers here. Now, like I said, where you meet in terms of the relationship after this event, it feels like, you're wanting to work with this person. They're wanting to commit to you, which is perfect. Now, the Page of Swords, though, could absolutely be about an instigator and somebody else who may be giving you misinformation in regards to who you are with or who you are dealing with. And I feel like you've already been there before, but yet you're still wanting this relationship. But the thing is what is being said may hurt not just you, but the other person. But now if it's communication between the two of you, they're not really understanding what you are trying to say to them. Because with the Page of Wands, you're talking about the good news, right? The exciting news, the things that you want to hear. But my problem is are they only telling you the parts that they feel like you need to know, or telling you exactly what you need to hear in order for things to move forward? Now, on the other hand, right, it could be that, like I said, this may be about somebody else saying something here that is taken completely the wrong way. But, with the Page of Wands on their side, they may be trying to clear that up for you. It just depends on the situation here. But what I don't like is the Hermit coming out. Now, the Wheel of Fortune, first of all, I do feel like, this is going around again. I don't think it's about a repeating cycle here. I think that you definitely have the hope that there is an opportunity for better things to happen. But there are definitely some things that, may happen again because of, having another go around with this person or a second chance, The Nine of Cups in the middle of this is, despite the fact that there are some hurtful things being said, I think that there is still a want to have this relationship. But we need clear communication, truth, and honesty. And we need to clear up some things that may be being said that are not exactly the truth. You guys know how I feel about the Page of Swords. I hate that little bastard. Drives me nuts. I don't see that as truth. I see that as half-truth. I also see that as somebody who's using information for their own benefit. But I don't think that it has to do with you, but I think it's affecting you, and I think that you need answers to understand this. And I think that, there may be the information coming out in a way that, might hurt you a little bit. Now, with the Hermit coming out on this, what I don't like is this is being alone or needing to take a step back, needing to kind of reflect on things or think about, what you're doing. More specifically, what this other person is doing here. And it may be that they need to do something on their own, though, before there can be, progress with the relationship, because that's what the both of you are trying to do here with that Three of Pentacles in the Hierophant. But I don't like that. And then the World. All right. So, I don't know. I don't know that the High Priestess is necessarily a bad thing. But what I don't like is this. This is showing up in such a way that makes me think that it's something that the other person needs to explain to you. Now, with the Emperor and looking at the Wheel of Fortune, this is definitely the truth, giving you an opportunity to kind of get control over where things are headed so that, we don't have the same things happening again. Because I do see this as a good thing, right? But the truth is what's going to make you feel like, you're in control. Now, on the other hand, you can't be stubborn when it comes to the truth about a situation, especially if somebody feels like they're needing to do something on their own or take care of an issue on their own. Now, looking at Temperance, I think that you understand that. And with the Nine of Pentacles, I don't think that it's them wanting to be left alone and do their own thing. For some of you, you may be dealing with a person that is like that, but yet still wanting to be committed to you. But I also feel like they're trying to gain their independence from something else or someone else that may be, causing a problem or instigating in the relationship, which is possible. Because I still feel like the Nine of Cups being in between the both of you is you both want this. The idea of this relationship makes you very happy. But there are some things that are being said in such a way that may cause problems. But I think that you're okay. I think that you're trying to keep your balance because you've seen this before. And you may understand the other person's perspective here and them wanting to kind of like do this on their own and gain their own independence from this situation, because I feel like that's what that's about. They need to do something on their own. But it ultimately leads to a place of closure, which is great, right? We're not going to go through the same thing again. We're getting closure on these issues. And also it's them communicating things to you that you may not have been aware of. I don't know that they're actually trying to keep secrets from you anymore. But I also think that they're taking a moment to kind of reflect on something. But I think that eventually they come out with everything that you didn't know. Intuitively, you may have known. But like I said, the High Priestess is not really having the facts to support it. Now, for them, they may be, being guided here to pay attention to their intuition when it comes to what is actually happening here. Right? And maybe not wanting to get involved, but being clear and honest with you in a way where, it kind of completes the cycle in a good way where you guys get to begin again. Because I feel like that's what you're trying to do here, but there are definitely some things that this person has to take care of that is directly affecting you. Right? And we don't want the situation to escalate to a point where, you feel betrayed by the other person, them, you, whatever the situation is here. But like I said, I think for some of you, you may be dealing with an instigator, somebody who thinks they know or thinks that they have something to say here, but this person has been completely honest with you from the get-go. Okay. I'm looking back at calling in your soulmate. Are you getting to a point where you think that maybe being involved with this person is not the best thing? And it may be because of their own actions. Because you're clearly wanting to have that kind of soulmate connection with somebody, which is not going to be based on lust or short-term satisfaction. The Devil, and that's what that is. It's lust. somebody acting out of lust, and that is all that is. With the Eight of Wands, though, you know, somebody is definitely enjoying the time that they have, but there's still a want to take the relationship to higher levels, right? Like I always point out the ladder with this and think about the Eight of Wands, right? But it is about needing to kind of savor the moment and enjoy the moments that you have. But, you know, if you're doing this with somebody who is just, you know, looking at, you know, just having that kind of hookup with you, then, you know, what I worry about is the way that you come out on this. But the Three of Pentacles, this is needing warmth, and I'm seeing this one a lot. You're needing warmth and caring and understanding. You're needing a little bit more from this person, but the thing is that with the Seven of Cups, that may be the fantasy. It may not be the reality as far as what happens with this person. But for some reason, some of you may feel really bound to them. Now, some of you may be waiting for them to kind of get over, you know, whatever things that they're currently bound to, especially if it's like not healthy. I mean, with the Devil being there. But again, that's just lust based. My problem is the Nine of Swords. This is like wanting to get back together with somebody, but it not being the best thing. You know, there's too many difficult things that are involved with, you know, the two of you. You know, and it may not be the best thing for you to be with this person, especially if they're not willing to change or let go of, you know, how they are, especially if all they do is act on, you know, this feeling of lust and just wanting to have, you know, that instant gratification, so to speak. And then the Five of Wands, and, you know, I'm noticing this a lot. And what I'm worried about is that you're dealing with somebody that doesn't like the idea of you being involved with anybody else. You know, but are you keeping yourself bound to a situation that, you know, is not for your highest good? I mean, really, you know, the Five of Cups. So are they apologizing for the way that they treated you? Like, especially if they were treating you like a piece of meat, you know what I mean? But do you accept that apology? The problem is that reality is not living up to the fantasy. With justice, there are still some things that are wrong that need to be corrected. You know, and again, especially if you're dealing with somebody who is constantly just kind of doing their own thing or sleeping around. I mean, you know, that's what the Devil looks like to me. Now, the Five of Wands with the Nine of Swords, I feel like, you know, this person is intentionally trying to kind of keep you where they want you, which I don't think is fair. At all. The Five of Wands is somebody who is looking in on another person's relationship here. And I feel like it's them kind of keeping an eye on you. And the minute that you get involved somewhere else, that's not what they want. That's not what they want you to do. You know, and maybe it's time to start visualizing, you know, that soulmate connection. Maybe the person that you're dealing with is not going to bring that to you. Because I feel like they just kind of want to keep you where they want you, honestly, you know. And then the Four of Pentacles. But you do have the Sun there, which means that I feel like for some of you, you know, there is a possibility for the chemistry to kind of come back into the relationship. It looks really good with the Sun. The Sun is such a beautiful card with this deck. It is a very happy and abundant relationship. That is beautiful. But with the Four of Pentacles, somebody needs to put in a little bit of effort here, you know. Now, with the World, you're talking about a relationship that makes you feel complete. Now, traditionally, with the World, you're talking about getting closure on some issues, right? That kind of brings you back into this place of feeling like, you know, you belong within the relationship, but feeling good about it for sure. But with the Eight of Pentacles, you're talking about somebody who hasn't been paying attention to the other person. They may have been focused on other things. Career comes up with this. But somebody who is just not interested in their partner at the moment. Now, with the Three of Cups, if there were problems because of that, this is definitely, you know, wanting to kind of heal and mend things. But somebody may not be comfortable with that with the Eight of Swords because there are some things that they may not be discussing. And what I don't like is the Devil lurking in the background. With the Eight of Swords, you're talking about being put in an uncomfortable position. But like I said, the sun coming out in the Four of Pentacles, there is the opportunity for, you know, there to be attraction here. I don't necessarily feel like this is a cheating scenario. If that was the case in the past, then with the Three of Cups, I mean, definitely, you know, this is wanting to heal things, mend things. But somebody is not comfortable with something, you know, and it may have to do with a lack of passion, which is possible because the Four of Pentacles is somebody who's trying to get the passion going within the relationship. But the other person is kind of like, yeah, you know, maybe you need to try a little bit harder. And then the Magician, yeah, somebody does need to make something happen. But again, with the sun being there, you know, overall, this is a really good relationship. And it could be that you may not be comfortable with this person's fantasies and what they're wanting to live out, right? You need some healing. And that healing may be because they may have been entertaining an outside party. I hate the Page of Swords. It drives me nuts. This one in particular is about somebody who may be stalking you. You know, somebody who is like literally up somebody else's ass. Like putting themselves in between you and your partner almost. And trying to instigate some issues, right? But there's definitely the chemistry that's between the two of you. Oh my God, if I could just spit it out. Cancer, the hell. Why is it when I get to your readings, I can't ever talk right? I feel like there may be something that you are not comfortable with in regards to the other person, or they are not comfortable about something in regards to you that may have to do with an outside influence, because I feel like this is outside, and that may be where the disconnect is coming through with what would otherwise be a very beautiful relationship. I see something really good here. Really, really good. It's just the other circumstances that are iffy here. The problem with the moon is that, you know, this could be good or bad depending, but you know, normally I feel like the both of you are fantasizing about each other. But, you know, if we're talking about fantasies, right, somebody may not be comfortable with that, which, you know, could definitely be the case here. But they may not be comfortable with the fact that you were even entertaining the possibility of living out a fantasy somewhere else. That, or, you know, this is the other person, right? Again, you can flip it here depending on the situation. But with the Magician, this is somebody who is really trying to make something happen within the relationship and get that chemistry going. You know, get the passion going. But again, this looks like a really good relationship if it weren't for outside influences, you know. And really, it's just you needing to get that out of your life, especially if it's a past issue. It doesn't need to be brought into the future of the relationship. But I don't think that it's that bad. I just think that, you know, instigator, right?